Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, on this warm summer evening. It's a beautiful day out there. We would like to welcome you to the joint Durham Chambers of Commerce and Boards of Trade Forum on business issues for candidates who are standing for election for the chair of Durham Region. My name is Joan Weidman, and I work for a company called the Lembert Group, a distribution and product development and international marketing company in a high-end audio-video sector, and we are in Pickering since 1985. I've also personally lived as a resident in Durham Region for my whole life. I am the chair of the Ajax Pickering Board of Trade Government Relations Committee, and I've been asked to lead the questions on behalf of this forum. As you know, we are in the middle of a municipal election. Leading up to the Monday, October 22nd, everyone in Ontario has an opportunity to vote, making a decision on candidates who will lead our local and regional governments. It is for this reason that the Joint Chambers and Boards of Trade in Durham Region have prepared an event to inform and educate our membership and the business community on the positions held by the candidates who are standing for election for this position. By way of introduction, the local Chambers of Commerce and Boards of Trade are recognized as the voice of the business community throughout Durham Region. These 8 business groups represent over 3,000 businesses in this region, representing an array of businesses and sectors that are from service industry and manufacturing and distribution, to small business, homepreneurs, medium and large-side business, to local and national and international businesses. We are proud to be the voice of our separate business communities, but in addition to our local community work, this joint working group meets quarterly to provide a strong voice for Durham Region, to work on shared advocacy issues related to Durham Region, issues relating to everything from economic development, corporate taxation, labor legislation, national and local infrastructure issues, the environment, energy, and issues that relate to attracting and retaining good employees to this region, such as local access to good health care and education, strong, attractive communities, and sustainable social infrastructure. So I'd like to ask the leadership representatives of each of the boards and chambers to stand to be recognized for their community work. Uxbridge Chamber, Kevin Alexander. Is Kevin able to be with us tonight? Whitby Chamber, Natalie Pacheco. She's the CEO. I know Natalie's here at the back. Thank you. Skugog Chamber of Commerce, Executive Director and GM, Kenna Kozak. Thank you. Greater Oshawa Chamber of Commerce, CEO Nancy Shaw. Thank you, Nancy. Newcastle and District Chamber of Commerce President Jane Black. Thank you, Jane. Clarington Board of Trade Executive Director Sheila Hall. Thank you, Sheila. Brock Board of Trade, I don't believe that Christine Duclos could be with us, but I know there's representatives from the Brock Board of Trade, and we are so glad that they are participating. They've just reached their 100th member recently. Ajax Pickering Board of Trade Interim Executive Director Nicole Gibson. No, Nicole's here, thank you. So this evening we will be asking our candidates for their position on business-related issues, priorities that are important to our membership and to this region. So let's highlight some facts about Durham Region, just to put things in perspective. There are 8 municipalities comprised of 2 cities, 2 towns, and 4 townships in Durham Region. Within these municipalities, there are 10 smaller communities and villages, as well as 50 hamlets. This region is roughly 78 kilometers from north to south, and 60 kilometers from east to west at the longest points. Durham Region is 2,535 square kilometers, or 900 square miles. I understand that this is approximately half of the size of the province of PEI. That's quite remarkable. Durham is the largest geographical jurisdiction in the GTA, stretching from Lake Ontario in the south to Lake Simcoe in the north, and then Lake Skugog on the Middle East border. The regional municipal governments have existed in Ontario since the 1950s. The regional government is responsible, among other things, for essential services like policing, ambulance, public health, several credentialed long-term care residences, safe drinking water, sewage treatment, roads, public transit, and waste management. So the position of the regional chair in Durham is critical. A critical position. The candidate who succeeds in this election will be both the head of the regional government as well as the CEO of the region, responsible for, with senior management, to run a very large corporation. The chair is also the primary speaker on public issues and Durham Region's representative within and outside the municipality, including other levels of government, interested new business owners, international trade partners. Overall, the position of chair is to promote Durham Region and lead in activities that improve the economic, social, and environmental well-being of Durham Region and its residents. We are entering a season of change in Durham Region, one where a large number of experienced elected officials and staff, senior staff, are retiring. While this opens up opportunities, it can also present many challenges. This is why we're together this evening, to understand the credentials and general platforms of each candidate. So here's the format we're going to follow. Each candidate will take 2 minutes to introduce themselves, providing comments about their experience and bringing a brief statement to explain why they've chosen to participate in this election. This will be followed by a period of questions and responses on various business issues that I will bring on behalf of the business membership. All candidates will be given an opportunity to respond to each question, which will be posed in turn to each candidate, allowing 1 minute for response. This is not a debate or an argument, but a time to respectfully review policy and positions of these candidates on various business issues. At the end of the question period, each candidate will be given 2 minutes to make closing remarks. Samantha Patterson will be providing a yellow warning flag where there's 20 seconds remaining and a red flag identifying that you're done. We are pleased to have 4 of the 5 candidates who are standing for elected position of chair of the region of Durham. We receive regrets from Peter Neal, who was previously committed to and is attending the opening game of the Humboldt Broncos hockey team in Saskatchewan this evening. Our thoughts are with that community as it relives the tragedy but works together to move ahead with a new normal. So let's get started with introductions from the candidates, going in alphabetical order by surname, beginning on my left with Tom Dingwall.
Hello, my name is Tom Dingwall, and like you, I'm not a politician, and that's all right. There will be plenty of politicians at Regional Council, each representing their own communities. But Durham Region is a community of communities, and as Regional Chair, it'll be my responsibility to work for and represent all communities in Durham, not just the ones where I receive the most votes or the most financial support. As a police officer and civil servant for the past 26 years working across Durham Region, I've seen firsthand the issues and opportunities in each of our communities. I listen to both sides of conflicts, and I have proven ability to facilitate collaboration and find solutions in highly emotional situations. I believe in our communities so much that I've taken an unpaid leave of absence from my career to take up this challenge and effect change. As Regional Chair, I will ensure security and sustainability. Security from harm and crime, ensuring a safe living environment, the security of having good employment close to home, the security that comes from having affordable housing in which to raise your family, and the security to celebrate your culture and personal beliefs openly. The security of knowing your environment will be protected, and the security of knowing that you will have fair and balanced representation at Council. And notably, security in the knowledge that your regional tax dollars are being spent both wisely and sustainably to support the inevitable growth in all of our communities. My entire career has been based on delivering security, transparency, and accountability to Durham Region. I have fought for and defended the most vulnerable people in our society, and I fight for what I believe in. I will bring these principles with me into office. I owe no political favor, and I am indebted only to the people of Durham Region. I will make evidence-based decisions and will challenge the status quo. I have the proven ability to lead in high-stress situations, and I treat everyone with respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And moving on, thank you. Good. And thank you. Moving on to John Henry.
Well, good evening. My name's John Henry, and first of all, I'd like to thank the organizers, the Chambers, and the Board of Trades for this event this evening. I'd also like to thank Ontario Shores for the great work they do in our community each and every day. Durham Region is one of the fastest growing regions in Canada, and our largest employer is agriculture. 18,000 people work in farming or farm-related businesses. 10,000 people work in healthcare. 6,000 people work in education. We're home to UOIT, Trent, Durham College, and Queen's at Lake Ridge Health, and we have over 21,000 full-time students. 3,000 people work in advanced manufacturing, and thousands of small businesses employ our residents to help make the economy of Durham. A large number of those are Chamber and Board of Trade members. We generate 40% of the power in Ontario. However, we do have challenges. We have challenges throughout the region. We have a mental health crisis, we have an opiate crisis, we have domestic violence and homelessness. But there's also opportunity. As well, we have the opportunity and have asked that the employment lands along the 407 corridor be released. A job brings hope. We are already in conversations with the province on the releasing of these lands. We continue to raise the issue of removing the tolls on the 412 and the 418, which will improve some of our residents' daily commute. It's much better to be at home at the end of the day, having dinner with your family, than staring at the bumper of a car in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And moving along to John Mutton.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the boards, chambers, and Ontario Shores for putting on the event this evening. My name is John Mutton, and I'm running for regional chairman because I care deeply about this region and the people that call it home. Durham hasn't even come close to reaching its full potential. We live in an incredible region. It's diverse in its geography, economic potential, and the people that call Durham home. We need more and better jobs in Durham Region. We need better roads and infrastructure to support economic development and make our region more livable. And we need better support for our large agribusiness community. We need to cut taxes, and we need to create a stronger environment for people and for business to flourish. We need to think outside the box, be innovative, and not be afraid to try new and better ways of doing things. My platform, which I released yesterday, focuses on 5 key priorities. The first one is lowering taxes. Yes, lowering taxes. The second one is creating local jobs. The third one is creating safe communities. 4th, building better roads and transit. And 5, delivering accountable, transparent regional government. I've worked hard for the people of Durham for more than 25 years as a mayor of Clarington, as a regional councillor, a community volunteer, and as a business owner. I've worked hard since January talking to people across our region about their issues, and I was the first candidate to formally enter the regional chairs race on May 1st. Since then, I've spent every single day and evening meeting people in the region and working to earn their vote. I commit to you that if elected, I will work just as hard to build the best Durham region with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And now Mohammed Asin Sahi.
Hi, good evening. I'm really grateful for the opportunity here. That is non-started?
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the opportunity being provided here by this forum to present my agenda for Durham. The fundamental reason that I'm standing here today is a profound desire to see a prosperous Durham. I've seen people pinching pennies and to put roof over their head and to have sustainable livelihoods, while our governance fails them every day. As you know, that I practice as a real estate lawyer, and I've seen that Durham has the exceptionally higher taxes. That affects doing business here, working here, and living here. I would rely on technology, on thrifty spending decisions, and science-driven approach to drive my inclinations from making any decision on any spending motion where I am allowed to vote. I would take this position as a solemn promise that I would work for the community and I would increase the fortunes of this region. I want Durham to become the most desired place to live and work for our families and our neighbors, and not a broken suburb of a big city. Elect me as your chair, and I would give you a new Durham. Remember, you cannot have new Durham with old politics.
So we want to say thank you for your comments to each candidate. We appreciate your personal commitment to Durham Region and to its economic and social well-being. So now let's move to the questions. A gentle reminder, there'll be one response per candidate, and the responses will be 1 minute per candidate. And Sam will signal 20-second mark with a yellow card. At the end of the response will be a red card. So we'll go in alphabetical order by candidate. Since we started with Tom with the first part, we'll go to John Henry for the second. So this is the first question, and it's on economic growth. What is your position on sustainable economic growth, and what would you do to attract and to retain businesses to Durham Region?
Well, excellent question. In fact, I'm proud to say that I'm still a member of the Chamber of Commerce in Oshawa, and that listening to our business voice is key. Attracting business to Durham is easy, and if you look at Oshawa and what we've been able to do in the last 4 years, we've created an environment not only that has built houses, but has invited industrial and commercial applications to our community and continues to grow. In fact, we've done $2 billion worth of new development in Oshawa in just the last 4 years. It is a great story about reinventing our downtown, but also advanced manufacturing. If we solve the NAFTA conversation, you'll know that General Motors is now running pickup trucks at full capacity 7 days a week when they said they would never build another pickup truck in Oshawa again. What a good story for our community. The people who work at General Motors live and work, live and have their homes throughout the entire Durham region. You know, I'm excited to say that we're home to the newest food processing plant, that we brought rail into the port, and the airport in Oshawa does about $80 million for the local economy.
Thank you so much. And we'll move on to John Mutton.
Thank you very much for the question. I think that one of our core fundamental things that we can do to attract more development is to lessen the red tape in Durham Region. I think our taxes are way too high. I think that we should start taking a look at doing the declining block sewer rates for large users within the Durham economy. That means that folks that use a large amount of water can be attracted, like Atlantic Packaging is here. One of the things that I've always found is that Durham has a lot of land, but a lot of our land is not serviced. We have about $1.5 billion that are sitting in reserves in Durham Region. We need to service those lands and bring the economy and bring the jobs into Durham Region, and that's something that I plan to do. I'm also very supportive as for the nuclear new build, and I sit as the chairman of the Ontario Nuclear New Build. We have many other areas that we have to look at, bringing high-speed internet to North Durham, to rural areas, so they can grow their home-based and agribusiness there as well. So there are plenty of items that we have to work at with respect to attracting economic development, including fixing our problems that we have right now.
Thank you very much. And Mohammed?
I think attracting business is, of course, the regional municipalities' responsibility. But sometimes we forget that what kind of businesses we attract. And we have been attracting the businesses which nobody wants to have in their backyards. We have nuclear plants, we have incinerators, we have all kinds of industries which are not actually desired by other regions. And that is a failure in my eyes. And I think we have to attract new industry. An industry which is environmentally friendly, and an industry which answers the desires of the region, answers the desires not only for the businesses, but for the people. The people desire a better working environment. And I think it's the old mantra of inviting businesses has failed miserably because we have the highest employment rate. So how can we just still boast that we'll be inviting businesses while we have failed already? Give me a chance and I'll prove that we can do it better.
Thank you, Mohammed. And finally, Tom Dingwall.
Sorry. We need to work with our Chamber of Commerce and our local business leaders. You are the subject matter experts on business development. I do believe we need to focus on sectors that have been underdeveloped, such as the arts, cultural, and information sectors. We need to work off anchor businesses to create destination locations, for example, Nordic Spa in Whitby, which will attract people from all over Ontario to Whitby. This creates possibilities to develop other wellness-related businesses, creating spin-off for local businesses. And I believe we're also missing opportunities in recycling and energy from organics now that China no longer wants our recyclables and the U.S. is tiring of our trash. Durham could become a leader in these industries, but a focus on high-tech and research and development is also required.
Thank you. Now, question number 2 is going to start with John Mutton and then move along that way. And this is on transportation infrastructure. If you've been around the Board of Trade or Chamber of Commerce, you know that this is a passionate matter for us. It's consistently risen as a priority issue from our business membership in our surveys. And we've regularly requested different levels of government that they work together at all levels to establish goals, policies, and budgets that will support necessary transportation infrastructure locally in Durham Region and throughout the province. And what we want to do through that is expedite the timely movement of our goods and our services and our people, both our consumers and our patients and our students and our employees. And this needs to be done without costly congestion. So this was supported at the Joint Chamber Network in Durham Region this past April at a roundtable that we held of business leaders. Now the question for you is, what do you feel can be done by Durham Region to ensure transportation infrastructure is carefully improved, including our roads, bus transit, rail, and airport travel? Do you have a position on whether transit funding should remain in the local regions or be moved to the province to manage? So it's a two-part question, and we will start with John Mutton.
No, thank you very much for the question. And I believe that the funding should be a tripartite type of an agreement between the municipalities, the province, and the federal government, not just one level of government. One of the things that I plan on doing is optimizing some of our bus routes. I've already met with the chairman of the Toronto Transit Commission, Josh Cole, and we've been talking about putting together a bus rapid transit system from Oshawa Centre to Scarborough Town Centre, permanent routes from GO stations in and out of Toronto, such as Scarborough Campus, such as the TTC loop throughout the Toronto Zoo, and so on like that. However, I do believe that we can improve our funding to our road system. We have a lot of roads that go to nowhere. There's no connectivity. We need to connect those roads. We also have buses that are running empty across Durham Region. We need to seriously address how we're going to do some type of ride share versus putting huge dollars, millions of dollars out for 25 passengers, for instance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed.
Hi. I believe that transportation is dilapidated because we have spent too much money and we have never invited the private businesses to invest in transportation business. There is an entrenched class of employees who would never allow us to think beyond what we have here. We have to invite the private money. That is the only way. And I'm not actually willing to go for, we'll remove the tolls, That is an old mantra. We know that these tolls are there to stay. We have to invite more private money to enhance our infrastructure. And I think only privatization of this infrastructure would improve our ability to move from here to the city. But we should not spend more money on infrastructure. There's too much money being spent on it. We have to work for the people.
Thank you. And Tom Dingwall.
Thank you. Right now, transit makes up about 9% of our property tax, and it's about $55.8 billion. There was an increase of 7.5%, or $3.9 billion from 2017, and we have projected capital expenses for transit of almost $300 million over the next 9 years. We are investing. We just need to make sure we're investing in the right areas. One of the biggest issues that we're going to need to invest in is ensuring that we have door-to-door service and assisted transportation for our seniors, for our aging population. About 40% of all of our boarding on buses are actually on 3 routes, and ridership is actually down from 2015. We have a transit plan in place, but we need to continually assess that plan and listen to the people who are actually using these services. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And John Henry.
Well, it is a great question, and we're already dealing with this. The Pulse Rapid Transit story for Durham is absolutely amazing. We moved 1.4 million people on that corridor from Mary Street to the Scarborough U of T campus. We move almost 900,000 people up the Simcoe Street corridor. We have challenges with transit in the north. That's true. But we have opportunities, and we definitely should manage our own transit system. And I'll give you an example. It wasn't that long ago when 2 levels of government showed up at the region to award us $166 million. It was a great announcement. What they didn't tell the people in the room, that the commitment from the region was 1/3, $60 million to make that work. Now, we've done an excellent job managing transit, and we're doing a better job each and every day. But should we let another level of government manage a service that our children are using to get to school? What we need to do is extend the Pulse service out to Curtis and then ultimately to Bowmanville to move across that corridor. It is something that we are working on, and we are doing an excellent job.
Thank you very much. So we'll move to question number 3, and Mohammed will start with this question. If you were the chair of the region of Durham, what kind of support would you demonstrate to the Oshawa Airport, the development of the federal airport lands in North Pickering, and the further economic development of the Oshawa Port?
To say it categorically, I'm for the airport. I've seen a lot of people complaining that we should use this for agriculture. I think we have had enough of agriculture here. We have to make it an international, region, so that we can be connected to the international world. The money is out there, which can come if we are willing to let go the opposition and work with the business community to develop this new airport. And of course, I would not miss any opportunity to increase the ports. But I think my emphasis would still be the airport. That is my pet project. I would definitely never listen to any opposition to that.
Okay, thank you. And moving to Tom Dingwell, please.
Well, the Oshawa Airport has seen a substantial, or will see a substantial increase in the amount of flights with the training schools that we have there, and that has posed a concern for people that live in that area. And it's more so the takeoffs and landings and the noise associated with that. I believe that the airport, the school should remain at the airport. I do believe that there are things we can do to try and mitigate some of that noise and some of their concerns. The Pickering Airport, I am in support of. I believe the economic spin-offs from that would be one of the greatest things for Durham Region as far as new job potential. And obviously, the Port Authority, we need to assist any way we can to further develop the port.
Thank you. And we'll move to John Henry.
So thank you. I absolutely support the position of Pickering Council on the airport. It was a unanimous decision. As for the Port of Oshawa, it was in cooperation with the region of Durham and the city of Oshawa that we were absolutely able to get the rail line into the port, so that our port is now connected by rail all over North America, anywhere that a rail car can go. And as for the Oshawa Airport, I'm proud to say that the city of Oshawa invested $6 million in new runways to bring that airport up to a standard that it needed to be to support the 400 jobs and the $80 million a year it raises for the economy of Durham Region. Transportation is key to the success of this region. And that's why we've advocated for the removal of the tolls on the 412 and the 418.
Thank you. And John Mutton.
Well, one of the things I've been hearing from the economic development community, because I travel across Canada, the U.S., with respect to economic development in the private sector, is that we don't really have an international airport here. Oshawa is not that of the status that we need. It needs to be expanded. The Pickering Airport, if it ever happens, if the federal government ever makes a decision, we need to be very careful and make sure that we have the infrastructure money in place in order to support the additional growth and job growth that would come from it. But more importantly, the roads and the transportation system, we can't just go out there and say yes without having the corresponding type of funding that goes our way. With respect to the port, well, let me tell you, the largest and busiest port in Durham Region is not the Oshawa port, it's the port at St. Mary's Cement. It brings in 6 times the amount of business that the Oshawa port does. I've been working with St. Mary's Cement about opening up their second commercial dock, and it will be one of the economic development drivers of Durham's future.
Thank you very much. Moving on to question number 4, and we're going to start with Tom Dingwall's response. Broadband and communication infrastructure. This is a bugaboo for many of us in business. There have been several attempts over the past decade by various levels of government to build out faster and consistent broadband and communication infrastructure in Durham. Everyone now agrees this is no longer a luxury, but a necessity for doing business in every industry. Businesses struggle in various sections of this region due to poor or missing infrastructure. What would you do to move this project along to completion for consistent service throughout Durham? Starting with John Henry. I'm sorry, starting with Tom. I'm sorry, Tom.
No problem. First and foremost, in 2016, the federal government launched CTI, which is Connect to Innovate, which was the broadband, supposed to be the backbone of broadband to provide the last mile of infrastructure to underserviced areas. Rural Connections broadband also was offered by the province to fund broadband in rural areas. Brock Township has 0 locations that met the target goals for internet speed, and Brock has the lowest levels in the GTA. Businesses are not locating in certain areas due to broadband, and EMS in Sunderland also lacks adequate service. But 3 out of 4 businesses are network dependent, and population density dictates where we go. We need to work with all service providers so that we can get the information that was not provided during the original study and find out which areas need additional service, and we need to work together to ensure that we provide those services. Thank you.
Thank you. And moving to John Henry.
Excellent question. As we canvass all parts of the region, the conversation is about the lack of broadband. But in Oshawa, I'm proud to say we own 100 kilometers of broadband through our utility, and that we have now leased part of that out, and it's now being lit up by a company called Telmax. I'm also proud to say that Bell has come into Oshawa and Clarington, and there was a $100 million investment being made by Bell in Oshawa, a $30 million investment being made in Clarington to bring broadband to the residents of those areas. You should not be able to go home in the evening and not be able to do work or projects. And broadband is key. You shouldn't have to go out to your combine because you get better reception for your computer in your tractor than you do in your house. Broadband is key. If we lit up the 407 employment lands, you can imagine what would happen. We would be the next economic engine of the province of Ontario.
Thank you. And moving to John Mutton.
Thank you. I actually have a plan, not a dream, to complete over the next term of council. I've actually met with all the folks from the north, Scugog, Brock, Uxbridge, and Clarington rural areas. I used to be the chairman of Viridian Corporation, and I've met with the president of Viridian. I've also brought in some of the members of the business community and councils from the respective areas. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at some tax abatement under the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, which is going to give some funds to Viridian to expand their fiber network into North Durham. One of the problems we have right now is that we have 2 conduits under a regional road. One conduit is packed full of services, and the other conduit's empty, but the region are not allowing us to use that conduit. Why? It's not going to happen on my watch. We're going to actually put fiber in those conduits, run them to North Durham. We're working with a private sector company called YRIE about line of sight, and we also have worked with, and I've met with St. Mary's Cement, who will be providing line of sight broadband services across Clarington's north.
Thank you very much. And moving on to Mohammed.
Yeah, it's actually shocking for me that we have the worst network in our region. And I have come from an economy which is a third world economy, but they have the broadband, which far exceeds the broadband, access here. The reason is obvious, that we have private investment. We don't have monopolies. We don't have politicians paid by the monopolies. We don't have a cycle of, entrenched interests. And that is the only reason I, as chair, intend to be the voice for the people. And I know that, I think broadband is more important than roads. Broadband is more important than our, so-called pet projects, which we have in infrastructure and policing, I would say. So I think we have to let private money in, and we have to somehow convince the provincial and federal governments to do that.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes each for this one. And this is going to start with John Henry. And this is priorities and projects. Looking ahead over the next 4 years, what 3 specific Durham priorities or projects for improvement have you identified to champion? So, starting with John Henry.
So thank you. Actually, we're working on those issues now. And I'm proud to say that we have met with MPPs talking about taking the tolls off the 412 and the 418. You know, when the only person on the 412 is the police officer that's waiting to catch the only person that drives up the road, it does not really make sense. Council had that position a long time ago, and we are still working on that. The releasing of the employment lands along the 407 corridor is absolutely key for the future success of Durham Region. We've met with the province, and we're talking about that as we speak now, to release those lands, have them put their plan together, to start the EAs, to start to do the studies that are needed to release those lands so they can be sold, so they're job properties. They're only going to be there for employment purposes. And the third part is about dealing with homelessness, the opiate crisis, about dealing with the mental health issues and the challenges we have with domestic violence that rob our police officers of their time during their day. We need to form a rapid response team that deals with these issues in all of our communities involving all of the services. It was not that long ago there was a picture in the newspaper about a tent city in Oshawa where the picture showed what was going on, but it didn't tell the story. When our staff responded, we took all the services that were available to that site to open a wedge to give those people a chance to get the help that they needed. We took Cornerstone, we took John Howard, we took Region Health and Social Services. We looked at this in a different way by bringing services to the actual individuals that need it. That's how we resolved that problem. And I'm proud to say not one ticket was issued, not one person was charged, but it is a new way to work at ways with dealing with some of our challenges. And I was proud of how our staff came together at all levels of government to resolve that issue.
Thank you. And moving to John Mutton.
Thank you very much. My first order of business is going to be regarding the tax problem we have in Durham Region. I'm going to hire an auditor general, and we are going to take a look at the duplication of services, of who does what across Durham Region. You will no longer see regional snowplows lifting their blades on local roads, or local snowplows lifting their blades on regional roads. It's unacceptable to have that duplication. We're going to take a look at a mandated versus non-mandated service review. Under the Municipal Act, we are mandated to provide certain services, and we're not providing those services good enough. And we're also in businesses that we should not be in. So that's a service review that we're going to take, and we will be lowering those taxes similar than we did back in 99-2000 by 1.26%. I think it's very, very important that we also look at lowering our agricultural tax ratio, which will put some much-needed funds into our agricultural community, and also lowering the multi-residential tax rate, because housing is not affordable in Durham Region, which would be probably the second issue that I would speak to on this. We need to take a look at what we can do to create development charge exemptions to provide for affordable housing and affordable seniors housing. When a developer comes in to build a multi-residential type of facility, what we want them to do is earmark 20% for affordable housing, or earmark 20% for seniors affordable housing, taxes, affordable housing. And I also think that we should take a long, hard look at the 17% increase in violent crime across Durham Region. Under my watch, we'll be building a new police station in Ajax. We will take a look at putting some of our 100 officers that are currently off right now and getting them back to work, working with some of the officers on some of the mental health issues, working with wounded warriors, and taking some of the 60 that are off on administrative leave and getting them back to work and encouraging them to come back to work under a new police administration.
Thank you. And Mohammed.
Hi. I've actually looked at the major issues of Durham, and I think everybody would forget that why we have the homelessness crisis, why we have the higher unemployment. I think the reason is obvious, that we have become a magnet for some kind of social degradation. And the reason behind that, facade of reasons is a real reason. That is that we have never invested in education. We have never invited Ontario to put up universities here. And whatever universities, the university which we have is just training skills, just keeping people, training them for low-paying jobs, putting them down. So I want this region to be, as a chair, I think we don't have a huge spending ability. Like as a chair, we don't have the power to really maneuver how spending is happening. We have only the ability to campaign for a different, vision. And I think number one issue which we should have in our minds is that we have to have better education for our kids. And if we don't have that, that is my project number one. And a second project is, I feel that we are spending too much money on policing. And of course, the reason is that there is an entrenched lobby of employee lists, which would never let us think beyond, but we do. We can compare our ability to track crime with us. Just imagine in Tokyo, they have cameras everywhere. Here we become just the most, we become livid when someone says that we should introduce new technologies to track crimes, while we have to reduce the spending, not with here and there, but with the basic item, which is policing. We have been spending too much money on paying the police officers, and that is not a way to go further. And as a chair, I would lead Durham to a better future.
Thank you, Mohammed. And now Tom.
Well, one of the first things that I feel we need to tackle is one that Mr. Henry was speaking about, but I have a bit of a different take on it. Tent cities are not new to Oshawa. These are not something that just sprung up. These have been going on for years. And we've watched as a serious problem has become a crisis. We need to deal with it. We need to deal with it directly. We need to deal with it like a crisis, with a crisis response. I'm proposing a community health center with satellite offices staffed by nurse practitioners, which will help with the current crisis, peer support workers to assist with people that are currently on waiting lists, and we need to remove the service barriers for individuals quickly. Individuals and their families have suffered enough, and public health has deemed this a disaster. We need to treat it like one. Durham Mental Health has treated over 23,000 people through the mobile crisis unit, crisis line, and short-term stays. We had over 1,600 mental health apprehensions, an increase of 60% from 2009. If elected regional chair, this is something that I would tackle head on. Second is policing and capital expenses. We need to rebuild our police services. Our investigative units are functioning at a fraction of where they used to be and a fraction of where they need to be. Our staffing levels haven't changed since 2010, other than an addition of 2 people, which are administrative positions. And third would be my support for seniors. We need to increase accessibility on sidewalks, advocate for improved services to coordinate and keep people at home so they can age in place, and prevent unnecessary institutionalization. Those are my 3 priorities.
Thank you very much. Question number 6 is going to start with John Mutton, and we'll call this one Strategic Alliances and Positive Relationships. If you were the chair of Durham Region, what would you do to advance a strong, unified, and clear voice within the province and the federal government? How would you ensure collaborative value-added alliances across the region with the 8 municipalities prior to going to the province or the feds with projects and priorities? So, Mr. Mutton.
Well, thank you very much. And this is an ideal time of this coming cycle for the region to be able to do something about it with the new Durham Regional Official Plan coming forward. The new Durham Regional Official Plan is going to have public input from across Durham Region, all 8 municipalities. It's going to include all sectors, and it's going to include all councils. So we're going to have a document to move forward with our complete plan to present to the province of Ontario, which has to be adopted by them. And this plan will basically, for the first time in decades, have everyone on the same platform moving forward. I'm nonpartisan. It doesn't matter if you're Liberal, Conservative, or NDP with the province or with the federal government. I can work with anyone, and I plan to work with anyone. I remember working very well with all the different ministers, Liberal, provincial, and even back to the NDP back in the 94. And I plan to be able to move Durham Region forward in a collaborative way with all levels of government.
Thank you. And Mohammed.
Hi. I think cooperation with the province and other municipalities is important, but we have to take care of our own interests, and we can never become just the go-to people when they have to dump some industry which they don't want in their backyard. We have to stand up for our region. We have to choose what we want. We have to not accept what is not desirable. And I think the basic idea in my mind is that if the Conservatives in the province, if they have this agenda of tax cuts and they want to move forward with that agenda, then we would rally with them. And I think we should embrace that agenda. I would definitely cut taxes, beginning with infrastructure, beginning and in tuning our region with the other regions and not spending huge money and lowering our taxes, increasing the value of our properties here.
Thank you. And now Tom.
Sorry, can I get the question again?
Yes, strategic alliances and positive relationships. If you were the chair of Durham Region, what would you do to advance strong and unified, clear voice with both levels of government? How would you ensure collaborative value-added alliances across the region with the 8 municipalities prior to going to the government?
Thank you. Well, I think it's been an ongoing problem with our region that everyone seems to operate in silos. All of our municipalities seem to be working independently rather than collaboratively. I'm not attached to one city. I will represent all cities. So I'll make sure that every municipality has a voice and that we come to a consensus and that we do have a strong unified voice when we do decide to reach out to other levels of government or other municipalities like York when negotiating deals for waste management and for the treatment plant. I think that's the biggest and most important thing, is that we have to start to break down these silos and start to realize that we're much stronger when we work together, and we do have that one voice. Thank you.
Thank you. And John Henry.
I think the real challenge is we're not united. And when we get meetings at Queen's Park or in Ottawa, we tend to go as individual municipalities. We have an opportunity every year at AMO where members of each of our communities go to attend events, and I will, as your regional chair, work with those communities to make sure that the communities are all represented. So if the mayor of Brock has an issue that's important, that the other 7 municipalities and the regional chair are sitting behind him at that meeting, so that minister knows that there's 670,000 people interested in this issue. And it doesn't matter where it happens, we will go forward in a united group. And that's the challenge that we've had at Queen's Park, and you will hear that Durham doesn't win because we're not united. Well, that's about to change on October 22nd.
Thank you very much. So the next one would be, I would say we're going to interview you for this job position, and you're going to talk to us about your personal leadership skills. So would you please describe, and this is going to start with Mohammed, please describe your experience in dealing with a large budget and a large staff, and also tell us what you bring to this position that differentiates you as a leader of elected officials.
To begin with, unlike other people here, I am a real business owner. I run my own firm, so that is unlike anybody else. And I think I'm not a seasoned politician. I come from the entrepreneur side, where you build your business, you work hard every day, and then you take care of the situation at hand every day. So I have, and I would actually strongly say that I have been tutored more than everybody on the panel here. I have been to universities. I've done an MSc in Defense and Strategic Studies from the leading university in Pakistan. I've done MA in Political Science from Waterloo. I have been tutored by the best professors and I'm ready for the job. And I think because I would not be sitting with the interest. Like, there's a huge government here, which is like they have their institutional interests. So I, as an outsider and being a business owner, I would lead independently. That's my feeling.
Thank you. And Tom.
Thank you. Well, I've led large investigative teams most of my career. Some of these teams have been upwards of 60 people. We've worked with outside agencies on a regular basis. I've worked with various levels of leadership. I've worked with some of the best investigators and some of the best leaders, frankly, in the province. And I've learned from each and every one of them. I listen more than I speak, and I believe that's a good leadership style to have when you're trying to gather as much information as you possibly can. As far as large budgets, some of my projects have had budgets of $655,000. Most of the things I lead are issues of crisis, and you have to be able to separate emotion and deal in fact and make evidence-based decisions, and that's what I bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. And John Henry?
It was interesting, my first day when I was elected as mayor in my first term, I took the calendar feature on my computer and made it available to every person in the corporation that had a computer. So that if somebody needed to schedule a meeting with me, they could simply go into my calendar, find a time that worked, and then send me an invitation to that meeting. It was about making myself available for issues within the corporation from anybody that had a voice. The rule in my office is that my door is open at 7:30 in the morning, and anyone in the corporation can come in and see me, as long as it's not about an issue about their boss. As long as it's about an issue that will advance the corporation, or it's an issue that's important to them in their personal life where they're just looking for some help. We changed that the first day I was in office, and I intend to do that at the region, to make myself available and to be seen throughout the corporation.
Thank you. And John Mutton.
Thank you very much. I'm a consensus builder. I like to bring the team together and basically look at the concerns that certain members of council or my team might have, and to seek consensus in moving forward on issues. I used to chair Durham Region's budget. I did so for a number of years. So I chaired, obviously, a billion-dollar budget. I was a finance chair for Viridian Corporation. I headed up their budget, Ganaraska Conservation Authority, as well as the Municipality of Clarington. I was their finance chair. In the private sector, I do actually have my own business and have a multinational consulting firm where we work in Canada, United States. We have offices in the States and in Canada. We work in Russia, Poland, Cuba, and other multinational areas. So I have a significant experience in both the public and private sector of working with employees and on significant budgets. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have time for an 8th question, and it's one related to the statement made by the current Premier that hinted at the possible demise of the assessment of regional government. And that could be taken anyway. That could be taken that it's going to be promoted. It could be taken that it's going to be removed. So based on those rumors, I'm sure you've done some thinking about this since July, let's have your position on what you think should occur if this was to come down from the province that there was an evaluation of regional government. And we're going to start with Tom.
Well, obviously, I hope that we're left alone. I hope that Mr. Ford decides to rethink his position and allow us to continue to govern and allow the people of Durham to make the decisions about how Durham should be governed. I would like to think that we would have some input on that, and I would like to think that Mr. Ford would give us that respect and give us that the ability to have a referendum if need be. But we have problems. We have difficulties. We have a lot of duplication of services that I think we can address. and we can make things better without knocking it right down and starting from scratch. I think that's the way to go. Thank you.
And John Henry.
To everyone in the room today, no matter where you come from, municipal government had an influence in your life. You either drove on a regional road or a local road. You may have stopped at a light. You may have got something to eat where water was delivered to that restaurant. That is a regional responsibility. You know, we look after our seniors, our libraries. We look after social services. Those are the day-to-day things that are key to the residents of our communities, no matter where you are in Durham, that are incredibly important. The other two levels of government do not touch you every day. It's the municipal level of government. Whether you have an interaction with health and social services or you simply stop at a streetlight, that's what we do. And it's important that the other levels of government understand that we deliver those services effectively, efficiently, responsibly, and respectfully.
Thank you. John Mutton.
Thank you very much. And I was back on the council in the late 90s when the forced amalgamations happened, and the government of the day was looking at further amalgamations. One of the things I would welcome a look at the duplication and of services within Durham Region and its area municipalities. I think that we've got to show to the Premier that we can do our business and we can do it well, but we really need to take a look at who does what. We haven't done a who does what study with all regional services for over 20 years. And the only reason we did one last time was because we didn't want to be amalgamated by Mike Harris. I think it's really important that we embrace our future. We do the mandated service review. We eliminate the duplication that exists between the lower and the regional level of government. And we show Premier Ford that we can handle it on our own.
Thank you.
I have a profound respect for the provincial assembly, and I think we should accept the verdict from provincial assembly. This is a constitutional position. We have the most run-down municipal system where there's a municipality here, there's a municipality there. Only the province can fix it. The structuralist position would be that we let the constitutional institutions rearrange whichever way they feel, because we have elected them as our representatives, and they have the constitutional responsibility, and we are the creation of the provincial assembly. So I would stand with any rearrangement, any amalgamation, which the province proposes. And we can have our opinions, but I think we cannot have opinions where one municipality has an opinion and it wants to change the opinion of the whole province. I think provincial assembly is the forum, and we should respect that. That's my position.
Thank you very much. So that ends the formal questions, and now we have this opportunity to have concluding remarks from each of our candidates. And we're going to allow 3 minutes because we have a bit of time, so 3 minutes each if you'd like to use that. We'd like you to summarize why you are the best candidate to fill the role of Chair of the Region of Durham, and we're going to start with Tom Dingwall.
Okay. Well, first off, I was born and raised in Durham Region. I've spent my entire life here. I met my wife, Arlene, of 21 years here, and I've raised my boys here. I truly decide that they hope to raise their families here as well. I've been with Durham Regional Police for 26 years, and I've policed every municipality in Durham Region in one capacity or another. The majority of my career has been in investigations, and I've worked in sexual assault and child abuse, homicide, and most recently professional standards, investigating allegations of misconduct against my own officers. I hold my people accountable, and I hold myself to a high ethical standard. I have led large investigative teams and to achieve exceptional results, and I treat everyone with respect. I gather all relevant information, analyze it, use experts when required, and I make evidence-based decisions. I have experience taking control in chaotic situations, providing clear direction, and establishing order. I find collaboration and agreement in highly emotional situations, and politics has very passionate people. I'm sure you've noticed. I have a small business, and I also have my real estate license. If elected, I will not trade in real estate in any way. My background in real estate does, however, provide me insight in understanding housing and commercial real estate. Some may suggest that I'm disgruntled. or that I'm a one-issue candidate, that I only care about policing. That is simply not true. I love my police service. I want to ensure that the people of Durham have the very best policing for their families, to keep you safe. As for the one-issue comment, if that one issue is taking care of the people of Durham Region, then they are correct. I want to take care of the people of Durham Region, all of the people of Durham Region. As an investigator, you ask questions and you listen more than you speak. The regional chair has to lead, and it's incumbent upon him or her to ensure that the information presented to council is fulsome and accurate to guarantee an informed decision is made. I have extensive experience leading teams. Council is a large team, and it should function like a large team. I have not held political office, but policing and politics are very similar. Both rely on process, both rely on proper procedures, both require evidence-based decision-making, and both require integrity. And both require you to care about the people that you represent. I believe in delivering accountability and transparency to the people of Durham Region, and I thank you very much for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John Henry.
Well, for 8 years, it's been my honor to be mayor of Durham, largest city. And on Canada Day this year, my bucket was emptied. When we cut the ribbon on our new bridge that connected our waterfront to the Second Marsh, that was the last issue that I had campaigned on. Working with my fellow councillors on important issues like the completion of the 407 to the 115 by 2021 and the GO train to Clarington by 2024, we have worked together to make sure that the cost of energy, the global adjustment charge, and the tolls on the 412 and the 418 were part of the discussions during the last provincial election. As Oshawa's mayor, we worked together as a council to bring in a record-breaking $2 billion of new development in the last 4 years. And currently in our planning department, we have projects totaling over $4 billion. We've used lean methodologies to improve our operations. We take continuous improvement right to our frontline staff. We have paid off millions of dollars of debt and put money into our city's reserve accounts. If you'd like to see my resume, just drive through Oshawa and look at what we've accomplished. Durham is made up of 8 municipalities, and if you look at the region as a pie, you cannot bake a single slice. You can only bake a whole pie. Together we are strong. It's our time to be the next economic engine of the province of Ontario. On October 22nd, vote John Henry for regional chair, or go to votejohnhenry.ca.
Thank you. John Mutton.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank my colleagues for attending this evening. I'd like to thank you as the moderator. You did an excellent job, and also the members of the public that are here this evening. I cut taxes once as finance chair and mayor of Clarington, and I'm going to do it again as regional chairman. I serving as Durham's chairman of Finance and Economic Development Committee strengthened my understanding of Durham's complex economy, manufacturing, agricultural, education, small business, and energy, and what we need to do to grow that economy. As the current chair of the Ontario Nuclear New Build Council and the current chair of the Canadian Nuclear Summit, I've served as an advocate for Durham's energy sector and its importance within Ontario's economy. My platform focuses on lower taxes, economic growth, and improving transit and infrastructure so we can support increased economic growth and make life better for our residents. It also includes a commitment to take an immediate and fulsome look at how your money is spent at the Region of Durham by freezing the salaries of the regional chair and regional councillors and eliminating waste so that every single hard-earned tax dollar is being spent wisely and appropriately. It includes a commitment to accountability, to transparency, and to you, the taxpayer. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to continuing to work to earn your vote and to be worthy of it as regional chairman. Thank you.
Mohammed Asin Sahi.
I'm grateful and thankful for everybody that I have the opportunity to speak to the people of Durham. And I take this opportunity to promise to the people of Durham that I would not become a pawn in the hands of ever-expanding regional government. I believe in smart communities, and I would rather rely on technology, science-based decisions, and create secure communities with modern technology. I feel upset when everybody talks about jobs, but they never talk about what kind of jobs they're inviting here. Low-paying jobs, hazardous work environments, and the industries of the past. I want higher education now. I want professional training now. I want my kids to have the best education and to be connected to the international world, and not to rely on a future which is done by the prediction, which is already set in stones, that Durham is a go-to place for if you have bad governance. I want to make real decisions. I don't want to be a CEO with no powers. And I would work with the province to streamline and make efficient decisions, and not spend too much money on policing, on infrastructure, and would rather get the guidance from the provincial assembly how we run our municipalities. And if amalgamation comes on our side, I would rather welcome it. Please, for the first time, defeat despair, defeat this glare, defeat the politics of high spending campaigns, defeat this old politics. Let your vote work for you and not for entrenched bureaucracy and seasoned politicians. And that is me. I'll change Durham for good if given a chance by the people of Durham. And I invite businesses to interact with me, and I'll give proper answers for every problem we have. But I think the fundamental reason which I'm here is that I feel frustrated that we have not become the other Waterloo and Cambridge, the other Oakville and Mississauga, and we have become Durham. And this is my frustration, and I would actually change the course of Durham. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, thank you to each of you. We appreciate the personal time that each of you took to be here this evening, and for the time that you're giving to this campaign. We appreciate your commitment to the region of Durham, and let's show our thanks for that. We want to thank our host this evening, Ontario Shores. We really appreciate Ontario Shores Centre for Mental Health and their hospitality. We want to thank Rogers for taping this, and they will be letting us know when they are planning to do the future showing. We want to thank the Chambers of Commerce and the Boards of Trade for organizing and sponsoring this. And to you, the audience, thank you for joining us on this evening of learning about the interest of each of the candidates for regional chair. As we look at the changes on the horizon at the provincial level, the potential changes in funding models and priorities, we need strong leadership at the table leading Durham Region and our municipal councils. Your community business leaders in the Chamber and the Board of Trade movement will work with the leaderships that are elected. We hope that you have found this informative, and we would encourage you to pursue any follow-up questions with these candidates. Let's go to the polls informed, and let's encourage our employees to vote. Thank you very much.